I think you have good reason to be concerned with how monies have been deployed outside of the loan program office and for other assistance as well, and we'll come back to that, but I think your concern is well placed.
Vice Chair Murray.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Wright, despite your claims to the contrary, more than 3,500 employees have taken the deferred resignation offer. That's about 20% of your staff. And we do know that you fired several hundred probationary employees as well. That has meant some offices are now gutted. There's nobody there. Others are in turmoil. I'll give you an example. The Office of Clean Energy Demonstrations, which manages $20 billion in grants from the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, lost more than 77% of its staff. It is going to be nearly impossible for that office to accomplish its basic functions, let alone oversee any massive and complex energy construction projects. And as I mentioned, your firings have been really arbitrary, even firing some of our grid operators and linemen at the Bonneville Power Administration, which are not paid for by taxpayer dollars. I know you scrambled to get those people back, and several weeks ago you said no more firings will occur at Bonneville. These positions, really, they're absolutely critical to the reliability of the grid in Washington State and the Pacific Northwest. Will you commit today to exempting BPA from your hiring freeze so they can bring back on staff mission-critical staff and keep the Northwest grid running?
We're very concerned about the power marketing agencies. They're critical to our country, Bonneville being one of them. We've been careful that their operations have not been disrupted. They were short-staffed when I arrived in this chair, and we will continue to treat them as the critical assets they are. Again, headcount is one input. It's an important input, but it's not the only input in running a successful business or a successful agency. And again, you brought up people that have provisionally elected to do a deferred resignation program. Many of them still have the option to decide whether they really are staying, whether they really are leaving. They are in transition. Well, we are engaged with them. They're not fired. They're not gone from the Department of Energy yet.
There are a lot of folks still on the payroll at the expense of the taxpayer. We are told that over $70 million worth, they are on the administrative leave now. They're at home. They're not working. They're not processing anything. They're not doing any work. And as a result, offices across the department are not able to function because those people aren't there, even though taxpayers are still saying, telling them to. But on BPA, just in terms of that, I do look forward to DOE hiring back sufficient staff. We've got to cover these critical responsibilities. Let me turn to the budget. President Trump's skinny budget really doubles down on the cuts that DOGE has made to the department. You propose cutting $2.5 billion from the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, 74% of the overall budget. That eliminates programs that reduce energy prices for businesses, for families. And on the one hand, you and the president say that you support U.S. dominance in energy, emerging technologies, but then on the other hand, you are proposing cutting over $1 billion in funding to the Office of Science. That really undermines critical research programs for AI, for fusion, for quantum computing, for nuclear energy, and critical minerals. Now, typically a new administration crafts a budget request that actually reflects their priorities. You talk a lot, I know, about lowering costs for consumers and creating this next Manhattan Project for AI, but it seems that this budget request includes across-the-board cuts to the very programs that would help you achieve those stated goals. So I want to get this straight. You are asking Congress to cut the budget for the Office of Science by more than $1 billion. That will help advance AI research and quantum computing?
It won't inhibit them at all. In fact, I do think on the margin it will help because, of course, all the things you listed, fusion, quantum computing, basic, fundamental advanced basic science, none of those things will be cut. The problem is the labs have drifted into things that are not fundamental basic science, that are political science, and that's just not the missions of the labs.
Do you have examples of those that you'd like to share with us?
We have a crazy range of things on climate change. There is science around climate change that I write about and have studied for 2 decades. There's real science there, but it's become a political game more than a real science game. That's not the business of the national labs, and of course we're going to shrink that activity. We're going to be smarter and more efficient, but none of the top priorities you mentioned are going to be touched at all.
Well, you talk about the importance.
In fact, they're going to be enhanced.
Okay, you talk about the importance of nuclear power and small modular reactors. Just yesterday, you said you were in favor of every incentive we can get from the federal government to restart this industry. Yet in your budget that you're proposing, you cut the Office of Nuclear Energy by $408 million. How are investors and companies supposed to have confidence in partnering with you when when what you say and what your budget says are two different things?
Each individual line item does not indicate a policy. I think the nuclear industry is quite enthusiastic and quite confident they're going to have the best environment ever for commercial nuclear power under this administration, under my leadership of the DOE. What we're doing is mobilizing tens of billions of dollars of private capital using government.
Well, the private capital is counting on us to make that investment. Otherwise, we see them pull out. We've actually seen companies in the country now pulling out of projects because of the chaos in your department. As a businessman, you said that you should know more than anyone the importance of certainty. And when they see the chaos and they see them pulling back, then they're not going to invest their private money either.
If you can connect me with anyone in the nuclear space or fusion or any of the things you listed that's pulling back, I'd love to jump on the phone with them because I haven't met one. Not one. In fact, I felt exactly the opposite. The most efficient tool that the Department of Energy has to help the nuclear industry is the Loan Program Office. Get high-quality equity money in front and bring government debt on these first few-of-a-kind reactors behind them. That's the way to get it done. It's not direct grant dollars. It's Loan Program Office dollars.
The chairman is going to pull my mic in a second, and I do want to ask you a really critical question quickly. We're having a budget hearing today. We have not seen your full budget request. We need that in front of us. It is required. It is critical information. When are we going to see your full budget request?
I'm working with OMB right now to get that out as soon as we can. I understand your urgency.
Thank you.
Senator